This week's episode of NXT was jam-packed, action-packed, entertainment-packed. It was everything packed, honestly. This week's NXT was extremely entertaining. I enjoyed every second of it. So let's just get into the breakdown and the review. Let's get this over quickly so it's not long like my last video. Anyhow, though, we started off with a gauntlet match. It was the Ricky Saints gauntlet match versus the Vanity Project group. Now, we had three matchups in this gauntlet match, and all three matchups were entertaining. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fast-paced action. And before the match even started, I will be honest, we all knew Ricky Saints was going to win and go on to face Ethan Page, you know? And the stipulation was that if Ricky Saints won, he gets to pick what stipulation he will face Ethan Page under. So anyhow, let's just get into the match. I didn't jot down highlights from this match because it was like three matches back to back, so I just have like a few key points that happened, you know? Anyhow, though, the first matchup was Ricky Saints versus Brad Bailey. Ricky Saints ended up beating Brad Bailey with a tornado DDT off the ropes, which looked pretty cool. And after this, we got the next matchup, which was Ricky Saints versus Ricky Smokes. And I'm like, these names sound so similar. And every time the commentators were saying a thing, or like the announcers were like, "Oh, look at this move by ... All I heard was, look at Ricky Saints. He just hit the Rochambeau. Look at Ricky Smokes. I'm like, who did what now? It was pretty funny. But anyhow, though, it was Ricky Saints versus Ricky Smokes. Ricky Saints ended up beating Ricky Smokes with an inverted atomic drop roll-up. So it was an inverted atomic drop, and he turned that into a roll-up, which Ricky Smokes could not get out of. And that's how he advanced through the second matchup. In the third matchup was Ricky Saints versus Jackson Quick. Now, this one was, I think, probably the longest one out of the three matchups, and it was probably the best one, I will say. I think this was like the most entertaining one. But anyhow, though, Ricky Saints ended up beating Jackson Quick with the Rochambeau, his finishing move. And it was announced that Ricky Saints decided, and it was announced that Ricky Saints will face All Ego Ethan Page in an anything goes fall counts anywhere match. After this, though, we got a video package and a new story arc that's developing. It was a video package between Jordani Grace and Blake Monroe. It was basically the concept of like a story arc that's going to continue where Blake Monroe was going to give Jordani Grace a whole makeover, a massage, spa day, all this and all that. And that was basically like the whole premise of like the two video packages we got tonight. I don't know if it will continue into next week or not, but that's what we're getting. Anyhow, though, something funny that happened during the video package was that Blake Monroe ended up calling JG, Jordani Grace, her muscle muffin, which was pretty funny. She was like, "Calm down, little muscle muffin." And I was like, okay, I'm stealing that one. Anyhow, though, after the first video package, later on the show, we got a second video package, and it was where the two ladies were basically getting a spa day. And JG, the muscle muffin, was getting a whole makeover, a whole spa day and everything. And like me saying muscle muffin, I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth right now. I can't take myself seriously at all. JG, the muscle muffin, Jordani Grace, Miss Muscle Muffin. Oh boy. Anyhow, though, those video packages were really entertaining. I enjoyed them. They were really funny. After this, though, we got our second match of the night. Our second match of the night was Charlie Dempsey versus Tavion Heights. And the stakes of this match were that if Tavion Heights wins the match, he gets to leave NQCC, No Quarter Catch Crew, the group he's in. I guess he's unhappy and he wants his way out. So the stakes were that if he wins, he's able to leave. No questions about it. Anyhow, though, some highlights from this match were that Tavion Heights hit a mean-looking toss body slam. Tavion Heights hit a big spear. Tavion hit a huge flying clothesline. Tavion hit a back body drop. Charlie ended up having to use the steel stairs to injure Tavion's right leg, and then he kept targeting Tavion's right leg during the whole rest of the match. And Charlie ended up putting Tavion Heights in a submission move, and Tavion Heights refused to tap out. He refused to quit. And Ren Sinclair had to throw in the white towel. And that's how Charlie won the match, because Ren Sinclair threw in the white towel for Tavion Heights. Basically, when somebody throws in the white towel, they're like, I give up. I surrender. That's basically what it means. So she, I guess, gave up for Tavion Heights, which I was like, that's pretty different, I guess. I didn't really like that ending, but, I'm not opposed to it either. It's something new. It's something different. It's something fun and entertaining. But this match was pretty entertaining, and Tavion Heights is really growing on me. I like his, intensity, his moveset, his athleticism, like his raw power. I like everything about him so far. After this, though, we got a segment backstage where Jasper Troy viciously attacked Javon Evans backstage. Javon Evans was talking to Hank and Tank, hyping them up for their tag team match in the main event. And out of nowhere, Jasper Choi comes in. He viciously attacks Javon Evans. Now, after that little promo segment, that little backstage segment happened, we got a tag team match. It was Mike Santana and Say His Name and He'll Appear. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. I know good and well I wasn't on point at all. I wasn't on beat at all. Jesus. I might edit that out. Anyhow, though, it was Mike Santana and Joe Hendry versus the High Rise. The High Rise group. And let me tell you, the team High Rise, they're some big men, dude. They're big, strong. I'm like, Jesus Christ. One of them was built like Rick Ross, though, and the other one looked like a bootleg Ashton Hall. And that's all I'm going to say. Let's get into some highlights. So we ended up getting Joe Hendry hit a big suplex. Santana hit a roll through cutter, which looked pretty cool. Santana hit a top rope dive, over the top rope dive. Joe Hendry hit an over the top rope diving leg drop, which looked really cool. Trick Williams ended up coming out. He attacked Joe Hendry while the ref was distracted, so that didn't cause a DQ since the ref didn't see it. Mike Santana still was able to get the win cleanly over the High Rise group, which was pretty cool. And after the match ends, while Mike Santana is celebrating, he ends up getting hit with a trick shot from Trick Williams. And Trick Williams and High Rise, with Wesley involved, end up jumping Joe Hendry and Mike Santana after the match. And this match overall was pretty cool, pretty high energy. The crowd was really behind, Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. This was a really cool match. And after this, we got a video segment, a video package where a lot of pro wrestling NOH superstars were wishing Inamura luck in his match against Obafemi, the ruler, Obafemi. They were wishing him luck, saying that I hope you win and you're going to be able to beat the ruler. And that's what we're getting. It was a whole bunch of different, wrestlers from NOAH just, supporting, showing support, showing love, and wishing Inamura luck against Obafemi. And we even saw Io Sky wishing Inamura luck. And I thought that was pretty cool. This was pretty cool. It may be slightly racist. I don't know. I'm kidding. But anyhow, though, after this, we got an in-ring promo from Inamura and the ruler, Obafemi. We got an in-ring promo. So Inamura comes out with Josh Briggs. Inamura gets on the mic. Inamura says, Oba, you wanted to see if I had heart, if I had grit. I beat Jasper Choi just like I beat Trick Williams. You will be my greatest opponent, but I am ready. I will fight with pride and I will fight with honor and I will win the NXT championship. And Obafemi gets on the mic. He says, you talk about fighting with honor, but you would lose with honor. You are not worthy of taking this championship away from you. Josh Briggs and your family will have to pick up your pieces after I'm done with you. Let me do this in a normal voice. Anyhow, though, Obafemi says, you talk about fighting with honor, but can you lose with honor? You are not worthy of taking this championship away from me. Josh Briggs and your friends and your family will have to pick up the pieces after I'm done with you. After this, though, Josh Briggs gets on the mic and he starts trash talking Obafemi and a huge brawl breaks out. And it was pretty cool. Inamura ended up picking up Obafemi and slamming him, which was a pretty cool spot. I really enjoyed that. But there was no clear person standing tall at the end of the segment. It was just all men were on their feet. Nobody was left laid out. All men were on their feet, just staring at each other. And after this, we got a pretty quick match. It was a Kalani Jordan versus Lainey Reed match. It was pretty quick, pretty entertaining. So some highlights from this match were that Lainey Reed targeted Kalani's right leg during this whole match, to get the upper hand. Lainey Reed ended up hitting a big spine buster on Kalani Jordan. Kalani hit the swift-legged moonsault for the win, her finishing move, and it's probably the best off the top rope move I've seen in NXT. It looks beautiful, it looks slick, it looks smooth. So Kalani ended up hitting her finisher for the win, and after the match, out of nowhere, Thea Hale comes out and she attacks Lainey Reed, and that's how that ends. And then we get another backstage segment where Jasper Choi comes out of nowhere. He attacks Javon Evans while Javon Evans is getting checked out in the doctor's room, in the doctor's area. And let me tell you, this man, Jasper Choi, he is a generational hater with a Hall of Fame sneak attack badge, man. Because, he doesn't attack anybody face to face. It's when you least expect them. Telling you, Hall of Fame sneak attack badge. After this, though, we got another video package promo, and it was Tony D'Angelo with the whole family. Tony D'Angelo, Luca Crucifino, Stax, Lorenzo, and Rizzo. Anyhow, though, it was announced that we will have a triple threat match to settle everything, and it will be Tony D'Angelo versus Stax Lorenzo versus Luca Crucifino, which I'm pretty excited for this. It should be a really good match. After that, though, we got a segment where Jasper Troy comes out in the middle of like the show. He comes out to the ring. He's all mad and heated, and he demands that Ava adds him to the Obafemi versus Inamura match. He demands he gets added, and they turn into a triple threat match. And then the young OG, the bouncy boy, Javon Evans comes out and he gets his lick back. He gets his get back. Javon Evans comes out, all mean looking, all mad, all steaming, and then he just starts laying out Jasper Troy. And I mean, like he handed it to Jasper Troy, man, and that was pretty cool. Next, we got a Sean Spears and Nico Vance versus Hank the Tank match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. It was the main event match. It wasn't the main event segment, but it was like the main event match, the last match of the night. And this match was definitely match of the night. Hank the Tank, that tag team definitely stole the show, man. They were so energetic. They were so funny. They were so charismatic. I love their in-ring presence, their in-ring persona. Dude, like, it's an experience just watching them, They were amazing. And their moveset, oh man, so unique. Anyhow, though, my only thing about this match was that I could neither identify who Hank or Tank was, so I'm just gonna call him Hank and Tank for every spot. Anyhow, some highlights were that Sean Spears hit a pretty cool looking neck breaker. Hank and Tank hit a senton dive. Hank and Tank hit a top rope crossbody. Hank and Tank hit a fun tag team looking move, and then they hit a whole bunch of other fun tag team sequences, like tag team moves, clotheslines. Hank got on Tank's back and did like a splash. Cool stuff like that. It was really entertaining. Near the end of the match, Hank and Tank ended up getting thrown into Booker T, and Booker T was taken out for a little bit, which I was like, dude, not Booker. Not Booker. Anyhow, though, after this, we got Hank and Tank. They ended up hitting a top rope shoulder tackle. And I think it was either Hank or Tank that did. I don't know who's who. So I'm just calling them Hank and Tank, like I said. Hank and Tank hit a off the top rope shoulder tackle and a suicide dive. Nico Vance ended up hitting a top rope flying headbutt, which looked pretty cool. He's a big man, so, anything from the top rope from a big man looks good. Sean Spears hit a impaler. Hank and Tank ended up hitting a big tag team clothesline move. Hank and Tank hit their finishing tag team move at the end for the win. And Hank and Tank retained their tag team championships. And after this, for the main event segment, we got a Women's Evolution Summit. So every woman, not everyone, but a lot of the women that are going to be at Evolution or like in the Royal Rumble, I assume, they got a chance to show up and talk a little bit on NXT. So it was basically like, a Women's Evolution Summit. So AKA NXT stars and some Raw and SmackDown jobbers summit. That's what it was. Because we just got Raw and SmackDown jobbers, not like, the big stars. I'm like, really? We couldn't get like a few big stars. You send out like Natalia, you send out Maxine Dupree, you send out Ivy Niles, you send out Zelina Vega. And like, no disrespect or anything, but like, it kind of just, I don't know, send out some big stars too, make it feel bigger. Anyhow, though, we got Donkey from Shrek, Ava, the GM. We got her in the ring, hyping up the whole event, talking about the history, talking about the meaning of it all. And I'm just saying this because Ava's teeth, I don't know, they have a way of just sticking out to me. And like, I don't know, I just can't not notice them. I'm like, I feel like she has too much teeth. Anyhow, though, so the whole summit, what happened was every woman just kept coming out. Like it was a new woman every like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Like a woman comes out, she says her one-liner, she verbally attacks someone, and the next woman comes out. So I'm just gonna talk about the sequence that they came out. So firstly, we got JC Jane, who came out with the Fatal Influence group. Then we got the Muscle Muffin, JG, Jordani Grace coming out. Then we got Lost Legend. And then we got Stephanie Vaquer, we got Natalia and Maxine Dupree, and then we got Ivy Nile, Lola Vice, Zelina Vega, Jada Parker, and Julia, who came out, it was a pretty cool moment, Every woman came out, they talked a little bit of smack, and at the end, everybody started just brawling, Everybody threw their shots at each other, and they just broke out into a huge brawl. And we saw a shot where Tatum Paxley and AZ Dame were watching the brawl from the entrance ramp. And I'm like, I don't know if they're setting this up as like they're the biggest threats in this or not, but it was pretty cool. So that was it. It was a women's summit, the Evolution Women's Summit, and we got a few big stars and a few big NXT stars as well coming out and speaking and brawling, and that's what it was. And overall, this show was really good. I enjoyed it, and I was thoroughly entertained throughout this whole show. The in-ring action was very good. The video packages were very entertaining. The promos, the backstage segments were great. And overall, I'd rate this show, this NXT this week, I would rate it a solid 8 out of 10. It was an 8 out of 10 for me, definitely. But anyhow, though, that was my breakdown for this week's NXT. That was my whole review, my whole breakdown on what happened. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.